Okay.
I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. We are good now. So this is our turkey. And these are the feathers that will be in all of your envelopes that you will either get here when you're here for therapies or in the mail. And I'd like you to, with some assistance, put down what you're thankful for. And the 4 staff have already done their feathers. So I'm going to take a second to read their feathers and see what we are thankful for. And we will probably do this again on Tuesday during our group at 1 o'clock, especially since that's the last day before Thanksgiving break. This is Miss Sharon's. It says, I am thankful for being blessed with Steve, Morgan, and friends in my life, my family and my dog who keep me walking every day, my job and all the caring staff I work with. Aww. Thankful for all the people in my life. This is Miss Pam's, and I am thankful for my job. Not everyone was able to continue to work during the COVID-19 quarantine back in the spring. My health, I caught COVID but was able to fight it because I am healthy, thank goodness. My family, the quarantine brought us closer together. Even though there were times it was a little too much closeness, I did enjoy having my college-age son home for a lot longer than what we're used to, that's for sure. And this is Sarah L. She is thankful for her family, her job, her friends, her animals, a new truck. I would be thankful for that too. For house sitting, and she's thankful that COVID is out of her house. And here is Sarah C's. She is thankful for continuing to work, whether remote or in person. She's glad her family is all feeling better. And she's thankful for family, friends, and coworkers. So that is our thankful turkey. And we hope to be able to add some more feathers on that you guys have. All right, our book today, it's kind of a long one, so I might shorten it a little here and there. It's called Thanksgiving on Plymouth Plantation. Thanksgiving then. They had venison, Jerusalem artichokes, I'm not sure what that is, bread, chestnuts and walnuts, boiled eels, ooh, sea bass, goose, ducks, beets, pottage, which is a stew. This word says nasum, which is a wampanoag meal of ground corn, beans, a hungry dog, squash, boiled shallots, which is a mixture of cooked vegetables. That word's not shallot, I think it says salad, sorry. Turkey with puddings, I think pudding's another word for stuffing. Boiled rabbit, yuck. Deer kebabs, wow. Thanksgiving then was a lot different. Thanksgiving now they have a hungry dog. They have a roast turkey with stuffing, mixed nuts, olives and pickles, cider, mashed potatoes, carrots, boiled onions, squash, dinner rolls, cranberry orange bread, gravy of course, the most important part, pumpkin pie, cranberry sauce, jellied cranberry sauce, apple pie, yum. All right, and this is Thanksgiving on Plymouth Plantation. Every year we go to visit our grandmother for Thanksgiving. You're probably saying, so what? Lots of people do that. And you're right, lots of people do. But visiting my grandmother is not like visiting your grandmother. Our grandmother takes us traveling, and we don't mean to the Grand Canyon or the Empire State Building. She takes us traveling through time, out west on the Oregon Trail or up to Boston for a tea party. I bet your grandmother doesn't do that. And here they are. Hi, Grandma. Hi, Moose. Mom and Dad decided to drive out into the country to get some cider at Whipple's Orchard. They asked if we wanted to come along. We said we would rather stay home with Grandma. Then, as soon as they pulled out of the driveway, we begged Grandma to take us somewhere. My turn, I want to visit her. What a great choice. Remember Allerton. She was your grandpa's great, well, I forget how many greats aunts. She was one of the pilgrims who came over on the Mayflower. When you travel back in time, you have to put on the kind of clothes that people wore back then. If you don't, they'll think you're really strange. Here they are trying to find some clothes to make them look like pilgrims. As soon as we were dressed, Grandma put on her magic hat and we all held hands and closed our eyes. She told us to take a deep breath, then all of a sudden, everything felt different. There was a cool breeze and the air smelled woodsy. So we're in Massachusetts, right? Northern Virginia, actually. Virginia? You're kidding. The first people we met were two boys. They ran into the woods, laughing like they had just played a big joke on somebody. And were they surprised to see us? After all, the nearest English settlement was at Jamestown, Virginia, hundreds of miles to the south. Grandma made up a story about how we had sailed up from Jamestown and our ship had sprung a leak. Says, so can we stay here in Plymouth for a while? Of course, Governor Bradford will welcome you. We could use your help with the harvest. Why do they call them pilgrims anyway? They don't, Lenny. They call themselves planters because they came here to plant a new colony. Many years later, people started calling them pilgrims since they traveled all this way because of their religion. That's what the word pilgrim means. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Governor Bradford was surprised to see us too, but he invited us to stay here and share what little they had. He said that since it was harvest time, they could use our help. When Grandma said we were distantly related to the Allerton family, he said we could stay with them. And here they are, out doing the harvest. A lot of people lived with Mr. Allerton. There was Isaac Allerton and his 3 children, Bartholomew, Remember, and Mary, but some of them weren't relatives at all. They were people whose families who had died or had come to America alone. The house was just one big room with a fireplace at one end. That's where they did their cooking. It was dark inside because the windows were small, and they didn't even have glass in them, just paper soaked in linseed oil. The floor was made of packed down dirt. There weren't enough chairs for everybody, so we sat down on whatever was handy. Wow. Interesting, huh? They had to sit on the floor. Most of us slept on mattresses on the floor. Nobody had pajamas. They just wore their long shirts and curled up under bed rugs. I guess that's another word for a blanket. We got up early the next morning and everybody had a job to do. We went down to the spring to fetch water. Others brought in wood for the fire or fed the chickens or milked the goat or picked salad herbs, that's vegetables, from the garden. Grandma helped make breakfast, but don't imagine pancakes and bacon. It was mostly leftovers, which they called relics, that's kind of funny, goose broth and goat's milk cheese, and porridge made from Indian corn. It seemed like everything we did had to do with food. As soon as breakfast was over, the women got busy cooking the main meal of the day, which was served at noon. The rest of us went out to collect food. In the fields, we gathered corn, then brought it back to the house, where we hung it up until it was needed to grind into cornmeal. We picked barley and, of course, lots of pompions. Can you guess what those were? Pumpkins. Other people went out hunting or fishing or gathering clams and mussels and eels. Of course, they had to eat a lot of food from the sea because they were right on the water. And then they probably didn't raise cows back then, or pigs. We met a man called Squanto, a Wampanoag of the Patuxet village. He spoke very good English because he used to live in London. When he was a boy, some English sailors kidnapped him and made him a slave. But Squanto escaped and finally got home. When he arrived, he found his village deserted. Many of his people had died from a terrible disease, maybe smallpox, caught from European fishermen. On Sunday, we didn't work at all. That was the Lord's Day. As soon as we heard the drum beating, we knew it was time for church. We met at the house of Captain Miles Standish, the military leader of the colony. Then we lined up by threes and marched to church. Everybody in town was expected to go, even if they weren't church members, and the service lasted all morning. Then after lunch, which they call dinner, we went back for 3 more hours. All right, and we are going to take a break there because this is a very long book, and we've got to get ready for our virtual meeting at 9 o'clock. So we're going to pause there.